Why release an incomplete and complete soundtrack on the same day? CDs don't cost that much to make. Why is there a limited edition variant of this Blu-ray release with a vinyl record attached to it? A vinyl record with no unique tracks. It's pointless. Why are there 7 normal CDs in the package and a DVD-ROM with MP3s of 100 more tracks? Either put everything on a bunch of CDs or everything on a small number of DVDs. Why is Final Fantasy XIV so disproportionately represented in Square Enix's Blu-ray series? Literally half of all Square Enix Blu-ray discs are Final Fantasy XIV. Why does an anniversary celebration disc only have 23 minutes of music, with 2 minutes of sound effects tacked on at the end? Why wasn't this issued on a Blu-ray when the game was made to use the Blu-ray format? Why are there so many tracks in this set mastered from lossy files? This is a newer game. Did Nintendo lose the master files, or were they just too lazy to pull them for this release? Why is this on the Columbia label? Nintendo has enough resources to publish this themselves. Why is the soundtrack split across 2 Blu-ray discs? A single Blu-ray can hold all of the music in the release. You have the space of an entire dual-layer DVD, and you're still missing tracks from the game. Why does the Ultimate Collector's Edition soundtrack track listing differ from the official soundtrack released 2 weeks later? Why does the official soundtrack have way more tracks? Why does the official soundtrack have longer tracks? Why are there tracks on the Ultimate Collector's Edition Blu-ray that are not on the much larger official soundtrack? Why do none of these versions have the 5.1 surround sound tracks from the game? Why couldn't the limited edition soundtrack have the piano tracks on the extra CD be on the Blu-ray disc? Who is in charge of these releases? After releasing Final Fantasy XIV and XV's music on Blu-ray, why don't we suddenly skimp out on Final Fantasy XVI? Why were all these tracks unceremoniously dumped onto streaming? Why were they not included with the main soundtrack release? A 13-record reissue of music already out on CD is horrendously wasteful. Think of the environment or something. Why are the rest of the original arrangements of tracks not included? There's enough space on the disc. Why are the remixes on the first disc? Wouldn't I want to hear the original tracks the remixes were based off of first? Also, why does the remaster sound worse? Doesn't that defeat the point of a remaster? Nearly all of the cool music tracks are mixed in native surround sound in the game, and none of these mixes are on a physical format. Why are there 2 separate soundtrack releases released within days of each other with the same art but completely different track listings? Why are we putting soundtracks out on SACD? Why does one SACD cost $70 US? Why are you printing digital mixes to analog tape and then recording the playback of that analog tape to create this SACD? Forget about soundtracks. Why are we releasing singles on the SACD format? Why isn't the song here part of the 7-CD Final Fantasy VII Rebirth soundtrack? Why isn't the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth soundtrack on Blu-ray? This game was a timed PS5 exclusive, and the PS5 is a console that doesn't support a CD or an SACD. Wouldn't you reach a larger audience of the game by having a Blu-ray which does play on a PS5? Also, what's the point of the 5.1 mix on the SACD if it doesn't use the extra speakers that a 5.1 layout offers? And now, the loudness wars section. Why? 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 8 to 10 hours of music on a single disc for many of these Blu-ray discs. This is how large soundtracks should be done. Surround soundtracks for a soundtrack to a game that's in surround sound. Good job!